Good morning, students. Today I am here with the poetic devices. Before start poetic devices, I would like to tell you what's poetry. So, students, poetry is the spontaneous overflow of emotions. It's the form of an art. It tells us a story in a beautiful use of language. So, students, first of all, what's poetry? Poetry is the expression of the thoughts. The poet has emotions, ideas, thoughts, feelings, and he expresses those thoughts by the use of language, and he tries to use the language or the words in such a way that is poetry. So the use of words, word there it is of two types. Words showing literal meaning, we use the words when they show their dictionary meaning, and then the use of words showing separate meaning from its literal meaning. So for sometimes the words are used in such a way that they do not show the meaning what they are exactly mean, but they show the meaning something like something different, or we can say they show some hidden meaning. The words, they have some hidden meaning, they symbolize something else. So when the words are used in such a way that they are not showing their literal meaning, they are showing their hidden meanings, then it is called figure of speech. So students, these are figure of speech, these are some tools, we can say, or some techniques or some strategies the poets use to make their poems beautiful. Then figure of speech or poetic devices or literary devices, these are same. If we say figure of speech means poetic devices means literary devices. So the definition of figure of speech is a word or phrase that doesn't have its normal or basic meaning. So in figure of speech or in poetic devices, it means the use of words or use of phrases in such a way that does not have its normal meaning or basic meaning. It means they have some other meaning. Now, poets use literary devices in poetry to make their poems beautiful, to convey their meanings, ideas, feelings in memorable way, and to make their writing stronger and effective. So students, some literary devices, there are so many literary devices, but I have taken a few one. Students, first I have taken simile. I hope you all have done this simile in your class 6 and class 7, but take it as revision. It is a figure of speech in which a poet compares one thing to another by using the words like or as. So students, simile, it is a technique, it is a tool, it's a poetic device that the poets use to compare two things, two unlike things, and they compare these two things by the use of as or like. For example, she is as beautiful as Rose. Here, the word as. Whenever you see these types of words in any line of the poem, you will say that it is simile. The poet has used simile in the line. Here, she and Rose, they are compared. She is as beautiful, means the beauty of she, means the beauty of girl is compared with the beauty of Rose. But she and Rose, they are unlike, they are different things. And the comparison, indirectly comparison is made by the poet. She is like a flower. Here she is so beautiful that poet has compared that you are like a flower. So the word like is used here to compare the beauty of she with the flower. Next poetic device is metaphor. It's a kind of direct comparison. So students, simile and metaphor. Metaphor is also a kind of simile, but here the poet compares the things directly. Here he does not use the word as or like. So students, in metaphor, the direct comparison is made. For example, you are sunlight and I moon. Here the poet says the directly or direct words to whom he wants to compare with some other things, like here you and sunlight. You is like sunlight, but he is not comparing by using the words as or like, but he directly says that you are sunlight and I moon. Then Alliteration. It's a figure of speech in which the initial sounds of series of words are repeated. So students, sometimes you see some lines in the poems where two or more than two words are having the same sound, same initial sounds. For example, initial sound means the beginning sounds. Some words, they are started with the same letter and those letters are giving the same sounds. But you have to see the sounds, not letters. For example, she saw seashells on the seashore. Here you might see S is repeated. S is, this is the repetition of S. We say that it's alliteration, but we have to see the sounds. Here she saw see. Here saw see. So sound is repeated. So we can say that here alliteration is used. So student, this is the main point you have to remember. Alliteration, you have to see the initial sounds, beginning sounds you have to see. Now alliteration is of two types, consonants and assonance. So in consonants, consonant sounds are repeated and in assonance, vowel sounds are repeated. Now what's the difference? See, consonants where the consonant sounds are repeated, but it is not necessary that they are repeating in the beginning. They may repeat in the middle of the word or end of the word. So it may be internal repetition or it may be the ending repetition. See the examples. Sally saw 17 oranges. Again, S and S sound is repeated. Here it is alliteration, we can say, and although S is a consonant, we can say it is consonants. But in the second example, pitter patter. See here, although P is same and P sound is repeated, but we are seeing here T and R. So there is T and ro sound, pitter patter. T and ro sound, they are repeating here. So it means it is consonant. So T, and although you might be thinking that I and E, they are also repeating, but they are vowels. You have to see here the consonants. So T and R, they are consonants. T in the middle of the word and R in the end of the word. If the words are repeated or the sounds are repeated in such a way, we can say that it is the consonants. We have to see the sounds of consonants. Then come to the assonance. In assonance, vowel sounds are repeated, but they may be ending sound. Again, alliteration, in alliteration we have to see the beginning sounds, but in assonance we have to see ending sounds. So go slow over the road. Here O sound is repeated, but here O ending sound. Again slow, in slow there is O internal sound and O. Here it is the beginning sound, but it may be ending, it may be internal sounds then, but O vowel sound is repeated. We say that it is assonance. So students, in consonants and assonance, internal sounds may be repeated, but in alliteration, initial sounds are repeated. Here, Mike likes his new bike. Toss the glass, boss. I dropped the locket in the thick mud. Students, find the here find alliteration, consonants and assonance yourself. Next is the symbolism. So students, you are very well aware that symbols, they represent something else. Maybe in your geography, you do the maps and there you write the symbols, and one symbol represents some other things. So, and the colors, they represent some other things. And here in the poetry, it is the use of symbols to represent the things. Here poet uses the words. The words may be some persons or some marks or some places. Symbols can be any, but here the poet uses the words, and those words, they represent some other things. And sometimes the poet has a complex idea in his mind and he wants to express that idea, and he needs a lot of words. To avoid the use of lot of words, instead of that he uses those words which represent some other thing. So C is the use of symbols to represent the things. Poet uses symbolism to convey complex idea without using too many words. For example, the tiger is a symbol of evil. So this the tiger has been taken from the poem William Blake's poem. There is tiger poem written by William Blake. Here the tiger is the symbol of evil. Now students, let's uh, come to the fifth, that is imagery. So imagery, as the word relates with the image, and image means pictures, means when you read the words, and after reading the words a picture is created in the mind. So it's the figure of speech in which the poet uses the words that appeals the senses of the readers. Senses like seeing, touch, hear, smell, these are the senses, five senses you all know. And if the poet uses the words in such a way that they appeal the reader's senses, then we say that it is imagery. Students, there are other types of imagery also, but here I am not going to the detail. I am just telling you the main types of imagery. They are auditory imagery and visual imagery. So student, visual means to see the words you read, and if they convey some idea, the things that we can see, then we say that it is visual imagery. And auditory imagery, after reading the words, if are the like our hearing senses are appealed. Sometimes we read the words like TikTok or tip tip or trin trin. So these words, they appeal because these are the sound words. So they appeal our hearing senses. So here I have written some words like flowers. You read the word flower and image of flower is created in the mind. Trees, fragrance, it appeals to the sense of smell. So this is imagery. And come to the poetic devices used in lesson. So students, I hope you have understood what's alliteration, what's imagery, what's symbolism. So these are the main I have found here. If you find some many, you can try. So alliteration is used in geography lesson. So the examples of alliteration is sprang into the sky, seeing it scaled, six rivers ran, why the valley were. Now second, imagery is also used like when we read the words sky, jet, river, men. So the image of these things is created in the mind. Then symbolism, here walls, words, it is used here not for the wall of the house, but it represents something else, like it separates. So separate means these are the borders, and cities, they symbolize countries. So students, this was all about these poetic devices. You have to write down these poetic devices in your notebooks, and come to the question answers. Students, you may get question answers like these. So whenever you read the poems, you have to prepare such type of questions like, who is the poet of the poem? So Zulfikar Ghosh. Write the rhyme scheme of the poem. So here three stanzas I have taken like stanza wise, 1 to 8 line, then 9 to 16, then 16 to 24. I hope you all know how to find out the rhyme scheme, because in class 6 and 7th I think you have done. And any problem if you don't know, then you can text me. Find the lines from the poem in which alliteration is used. So alliteration is used, I have already given you the lines. So 2 lines I have written here: sprang into the sky and seeing it scaled 6. So this was all about the poetic devices and the question answers of the geography lesson, and hope you all have understood. If not, then you can text me. Thank you.